He wrestled the stiff, military-issue sheet over the mattress, a low curse escaping his lips. For years, he was meant to survive 4 years in a military academy teeming with alphas, all while hiding the secret that could get him killed, or worse. The thought soured in his stomach. He muttered another profanity at the silent, omnipresent system that had landed him here, an Omega in the lion's den. A shadow fell over him. When he looked up, a figure had emerged from the bathroom's deep shadows, drying his hands on a black towel. The man's voice was a low rumble, questioning Leo's earlier muttered confession of being an O. Leo froze, his mind racing. The dorm was supposed to be empty. He'd arrived a day early specifically to get the lay of the land in peace. He hadn't even turned on the main lights, preferring the quiet solitude. He stammered, asking who the man was and why he was lurking in the dark. The stranger simply stated he was dealing with his own affairs and that Leo shouldn't assume the worst. A chill went down Leo's spine. He retreated to his bed, the thin mattress offering no comfort. He knew the stories. He understood the biological imperative that made Omegas surrender to an alpha's pheromones. If his secret was discovered, he would be dominated, broken. He would become someone's possession, a fate he refused to accept. The man finished with the towel, his movements slow and deliberate. He remarked that while Leo's manners were lacking, his appearance was a redeeming quality, offering a mock impression score of 4 points. Leo stared at the ceiling, wondering how the man knew his actual admissions impression score. He decided it was none of his business. He was in, and that's all that mattered. The future stretched before him, a vast and menacing darkness. His new roommate, he learned, was Caleb Thorne. The Thorne family's name was synonymous with wealth and influence, which explained their 2-person suite while every other dorm on campus housed 4 cadets. The luxury was a convenience Caleb's status afforded him. The next day, their solitude was interrupted by another cadet who burst in, his face a mask of theatrical despair. He rushed toward Caleb, lamenting that Caleb hadn't waited for him so they could have the suite to themselves as planned. Caleb dryly pointed out that he was the one who had arrived late. The newcomer, Ryan, then turned his attention to Leo, offering him a casual $300,000 to simply vacate the room. Leo shook his head firmly. He explained that if a single room could be found, he might consider it. His refusal was rooted in a desperate need for self-preservation. A dorm with more alphas meant more risk, more chances for a phenomenal slip. The alphas he had learned about were all older, more controlled, but these cadets were adolescents, prone to leakage. Caleb, at least, seemed remarkably restrained. Leo hadn't detected a hint of pheromones from him since arriving. Ryan's face fell, admitting his father had already donated the campus's only single-person dorm, a $20 million donation, and he still couldn't secure a private room. As they left together, Leo overheard Ryan muttering threats, vowing to make his life difficult. Leo ignored him, sinking back onto his bed and pulling out his datapad to call his friends. They were his treasures, the gentle, beautiful Omegas he had managed to bring with him from the scrap sectors. The universe was a strange place. Here, he was a boy surrounded by the very people he was biologically programmed to fear, while his friends, also boys, were safe in the capital. He put on a brave face for them, telling the system's monitor that the school was a dream, filled with kind teachers and friendly students. It was a lie. He described a paradise of soft, sweet-smelling people, a stark contrast to his reality of aggressive, temperamental alphas, one of whom already wanted him gone. His friends reassured him, reminding him of his strength, that he could handle any alpha. They asked if he had enough money, him not to be tricked by some smooth-talking alpha for a few dollars. He was here because of the system, a mysterious entity that had plucked him from the lawless scrap sectors and promised him wealth for completing its tasks. That money allowed him to bring his friends here, to a capital where Omegas were protected by law, unlike their home where they vanished without a trace, their fates unknown. He was planning his 4-year strategy for getting rich when Caleb's voice cut through the air from the doorway. He hadn't realized Caleb had returned. The Alpha advised him not to pursue Omegas he couldn't afford, stating that they deserved better. He had overheard Leo's entire conversation, misinterpreting his concern for his friends as the complaints of a penniless womanizer. Before Leo could throw a pillow at him, Caleb grabbed a jacket and left, his final glance a mixture of judgment and something unreadable. It was for the best. If Caleb thought he was a broke, sweet-talking scumbag, he would keep his distance, and Leo's secret would remain safe. Late that night, a sharp knock echoed on the door. Leo, engrossed in earning some quick cash by solving complex equations online for another student, called out impatiently. It was Ryan. He refused to open it. Ryan was Caleb's friend, not his. Then came the plea. Caleb was drunk, locked out of the dorm. Leo replied that it wasn't his problem. The next words, however, were, Ryan offered him $100,000. Leo swallowed the string of curses on his tongue. He had just spent 4 hours earning $300. He made Ryan add him as a contact and transfer the money before he even considered moving. The moment he opened the door, he was hit by the scent of high-end whiskey and something else, something primal and overwhelmingly potent. It was Caleb's pheromones, raw and unfiltered. His knees nearly buckled. Ryan shoved the heavily intoxicated Caleb toward him, slammed the door shut, and called out that his brother was in his susceptible period and his pheromones were a bit aggressive. He told Leo to take care of it. When Leo protested, Ryan reminded him that refusing the job meant returning the money. A notification on his datapad confirmed the $100,000 transfer with a simple note. Take care of Caleb for 1 night. The only reason he didn't panic was the system's guarantee. It had altered his biology, preventing him from going into a responsive heat from alpha pheromones. Without that assurance, he never would have taken this insane risk. It took him half an hour of grueling effort to drag Caleb's dead weight onto the bed. He took a quick picture of Caleb's handsome, unconscious profile and sent it to his friend's group chat, joking about his roommate. He was so engrossed in their conversation that he didn't notice Caleb stir until an arm snaked around him, pulling him into a hard embrace. Canine teeth grazed the sensitive skin of his neck as Caleb mumbled about his scent. It took all of Leo's strength to push him away. He could already feel the glands on his neck swelling. Worried about what the alpha might do in his vulnerable state, Leo found some rope and tied him securely to the bed before covering him with a blanket and finally falling into an uneasy sleep. He was jolted awake hours later by a series of ragged groans. He flicked on the light to see Caleb, his skin flushed red, straining against his bonds. The rope had snapped. Before Leo could react, a powerful arm wrapped around his waist, pinning him. He felt the terrifying disparity in strength between an alpha and an omega. As danger closed in, he screamed for the system in his mind, begging for a boost of strength. Caleb's mouth was at his neck again, but this time, the bite was restrained, almost gentle. He held Leo close, nuzzling and licking his neck for what felt like an eternity before finally collapsing back into a deep sleep, the susceptible period apparently over. The next morning, Caleb awoke with a groan, clutching his head. He went to the bathroom without a word and emerged, silently dressing. Leo cleared his throat. He informed Caleb that he had been attacked the previous night and that there would have to be compensation for a work-related injury. He rolled up his sleeves, revealing the dark imprints of Caleb's hands on his arms. He then lifted the hem of his shirt to show a matching set of bruises on his waist. Caleb's gaze was heavy, shifting from the bruises on Leo's skin to his own hands as if they were foreign objects. He asked how much. Leo declared that double the pay was not excessive. Since he'd been paid $100,000, Caleb owed him $200,000. After a moment of silence, Caleb walked over, added him as a contact on his datapad, and transferred the money. His eyes were complicated as he asked if anything else had happened. Leo shook his head firmly, unable to speak of the long, strange moments of the night before. That afternoon, Ryan stopped by with a bag of apples, thanking Leo for his hard work. He mentioned that Caleb's SS-level mental strength made his susceptible periods incredibly manic. The last time Ryan had tried to handle it, he'd ended up in the hospital for 3 days. He urged Leo to get checked for internal injuries, offering the services of their private doctors. Leo refused, stating it was a fair trade. He then made a counteroffer, telling Ryan that he would be willing to help Caleb through future susceptible periods, but the price would increase to at least $300,000. Ryan gave him a thumbs up, calling him a brother. Later, as Caleb and Ryan were heading out, Ryan invited Leo to join them at the arena, offering to cover the $1,000 ticket. Leo had heard of the underground fighting pits in the city's Sector A, a bloody, lawless place where alphas went to let off steam and desperate men gambled their lives for a chance at wealth. It was the fastest way to make money, and with the system's buffs, Leo felt a pull to check it out. He accepted. As he got ready, he messaged his friends, asking if they needed anything. They replied that they just wanted to see him. He made plans to meet them after scouting the arena. The Haicheng underground arena was tucked away in a labyrinth of dark alleys. After a series of disorienting twists and turns, they passed through a dark passage and were suddenly assaulted by a wall of sound. The roar of the crowd and the deafening music were overwhelming. Caleb handed him a black mask. Ryan threw a companionable arm around his shoulders, explaining the rules. It was a place where disputes were settled and fortunes were made or lost in the ring. On the stage, 2 alphas were locked in a brutal fight, their bodies slick with blood. The air was thick with the coppery tang of blood and raw pheromones, a brutal cocktail that sent the crowd into a frenzy. One man, already beaten into submission, was still being pummeled by his opponent, a brute the crowd called Mad Lion. Leo felt sick. Most of the fighters were from the scrap sectors or other low-level territories, their bodies broken for the entertainment of the wealthy. To Caleb and Ryan, these men weren't people. They were disposable performers. Leo knew then that he could never truly be their friend. There were better ways to make money. Caleb's voice, low and close, asked if he was afraid. Leo retorted that he wasn't afraid, just disgusted. He couldn't stand watching some people sacrifice their lives while others condescendingly tossed them reward money. Caleb watched him quietly for a long moment before stating that they all made their own choices. He then asked, with a flicker of amusement in his usually indifferent eyes, why Leo thought they were there. For the first time, Caleb's expression was playful. He was fishing, he said. He patted Leo on the shoulder and apologized for using him as bait. The next second, gunshots cracked through the din. The crowd screamed. A muzzle flash was aimed directly at him. Leo, who had never seen this kind of violence outside of a simulation, froze, his legs refusing to move. As the trigger clicked, Caleb's hand clamped around Leo's wrist, dragging him into a desperate sprint. They were being chased. The meaning of Caleb's words hit him with the force of a physical blow. Caleb had enemies, and he had intentionally brought Leo, a seemingly weaker companion, into this gray zone to lure them out. In an alley, they were cornered, attackers closing in from both sides. Just as Leo thought they were done for, Caleb yanked him into a narrow, dark crevice between two buildings. He clamped a hand over Leo's mouth, hissing a not to move if he wanted to live. He pressed Leo back against his chest, one hand braced on his waist. The height difference between them was stark, making Leo feel small and trapped. He tried to shift away, but Caleb's grip tightened, a silent command to stay still. The space was barely wide enough for one person. Caleb's hot breath fanned across the back of his neck, and Leo's glands began to burn. Not now. He couldn't have a reaction now. He wanted to beg Caleb to move his face away, but the hand over his mouth prevented it. He tried to open his mouth to protest, and Caleb's fingers pinched his cheeks harder. A low growl from Caleb, that he would pull out his tongue, silenced any further attempts. Frustrated tears pricked at the corners of his eyes. 10 minutes passed in suffocating silence. Suddenly, he felt a change in the body pressed against his back. Caleb's chest, which had been a wall of heat, seemed to grow even hotter, and he shifted, taking a slight step back into the impossibly tight space. His whole body tensed. Leo shot him an accusing look over his shoulder. Caleb's eyes held a flicker of something surprisingly innocent. He explained through gritted teeth that it was a normal reaction, having just passed his susceptible period. Another work-related injury, he muttered. It took a full 40 minutes before the sounds of their pursuers faded and they could finally emerge from the alley. Leo's face was flushed with a mixture of fear and humiliation. Caleb was already on his comm, arranging for a pickup of a captured enemy. He turned and tossed a set of keys to Leo, telling him the car was parked outside and he could drive himself back. Leo was speechless. He had no idea how to navigate the maze of alleys, let alone which car was Caleb's. Caleb sighed, a flicker of patience crossing his face. He offered to lead the way out. As they walked, Leo messaged his friends, telling them he was on his way and to wait for him at the Golden Plaza. Caleb stopped, glancing at the message on Leo's datapad. He commented that while AO relationships were healthier, he hadn't expected to find an Omega who was so much like Leo. Leo shot back that he was better than Caleb, who probably had reactions to other alphas. A notification pinged on his datapad. A transfer of $2 million. Caleb's voice was deep as he told Leo to be good to his Omegas and not to speak of what happened that night to anyone. As Leo walked away, Caleb called out irritably, telling him not to spend the money he gave him on Omegas. It was his mental damage fee. He could spend it however he liked. Leo didn't take Caleb's car. He knew it was a limited ion model, and he couldn't afford to scratch it. More importantly, it was a moving target. He wasn't stupid enough to risk the lives of his friends. He found Lin Jingning and Jiang Chengxing waiting for him at the plaza, their faces bright with smiles. Their cheerful greetings melted his heart. This was where he belonged, with the fragrant, gentle Omegas, not the hard, dangerous alphas. Lin Jingning looked past him and asked who was with him. Leo turned to see Caleb approaching. He introduced himself as Leo's roommate, his voice smooth and polite. He asked if they were all Leo's Omegas. The two boys blushed, explaining that Leo was their brother, the one who had helped them escape the scrap sectors. Caleb then took it upon himself to act as their tour guide, leading them through the capital's most expensive districts. He bought them lavish gifts without a second thought. He was the perfect suitor, handsome, wealthy, effortlessly charming, and generous to a fault. It was a stark, uncomfortable comparison that made Leo feel small and inadequate. The few gifts he had budgeted for seemed paltry next to Caleb's largesse. Caleb covered all the expenses, claiming it was his way of repaying Leo for his help. When it was time to part ways, Lin Jingning and Jiang Chengxing gave him knowing looks. Messages popped up in their group chat. They had tested Caleb and approved. They urged Leo to go for it, to keep taking advantage of his generosity. The system's voice echoed their sentiments in his head, teasing him for not being as generous. In truth, Caleb had spent over $500,000 on them in a few hours, on top of the $1 million he had transferred earlier. The prices in the capital were astronomical, but Caleb moved through this world of casual luxury as if he were born to it. As they walked away, Caleb asked if Leo didn't need to buy anything for himself, noting how sparse his side of the dorm was. Leo retorted that he could buy his own things. He did have money now, but he was hoarding it, terrified of a future where he couldn't earn more. They ended up in the Alpha section of a mall, a place even more impressive than the Omega District. He bought an armful of things, so many that he could barely see where he was going. He was about to call a cab when Caleb asked if he needed help. Leo was shocked. He thought Caleb had left while he was on the phone earlier. He unceremoniously dumped the pile of goods into Caleb's arms, telling his good roommate to share the load. On the ride back, he dozed off in the passenger seat of Caleb's car. The climate control was perfect, the leather seats were comfortable, and the soft music was soothing. The tension from the arena finally drained from his body. When he woke up, it was dark outside and the car was still moving. He asked if they weren't back yet. Caleb, without taking his eyes off the road, said they had arrived a while ago. He'd seen Leo sleeping and hadn't wanted to wake him. He had already circled the city 7 times. Leo stared out the window at the dark streets, aghast. They had missed the 11 o'clock curfew. Caleb stopped the car and leaned toward him, a smirk playing on his lips. He teased Leo, saying he never took him for a good student who would be so worried about breaking curfew. The proximity was unsettling, and Leo leaned back. Caleb's gaze was intense. He remarked that he'd never seen an alpha get so flustered by a little teasing. He voiced his suspicion about Leo's orientation. Leo panicked, his fingers tightening on his seatbelt. If Caleb was interested in him, he was doomed. He knew the stories about the Thorne family, about Caleb's ruthlessness. He spat back that only perverts were into AA relationships and that his orientation was, and always would be, Omegas. Caleb just chuckled and got out of the car, pulling Leo with him. He was taking him to see something good. They arrived at a famous, opulent nightclub where everyone greeted Caleb with reverence. He booked a private room and called for 3 Omegas. Leo followed, his glare boring a hole in Caleb's back. So much for his cool indifference at school. Once outside, his true nature was revealed. The 3 Omegas draped themselves over Leo while Caleb sat opposite, sipping his drink leisurely. He told Leo to have fun if he liked them. Leo felt a surge of disgust. He didn't know if this was a test of his orientation or something more sinister. But as he interacted with the Omegas, who were bold and flirtatious, his face began to burn. He gently pushed away a hand that was stroking his side. Then he saw it. On their exposed collarbones, the faint but unmistakable brand of the scrap sectors. They had been trafficked. The gap between his world and Caleb's suddenly felt like an unbridgeable chasm. He and his friends were nothing more than toys to people like him. He gently traced the brand on one of the Omegas, his heart aching. If this had been Lin Jingning or Jiang Chengxing, he would have killed the men responsible. A soft voice pleaded with him to be gentle. Leo looked up and asked quietly if they were from the scrap sectors. The mood shifted. Caleb's face darkened. He stood up and told Leo it was time to go. For the first time, Leo didn't argue. He looked up at Caleb, his voice steady. He asked if Caleb could let them go. Just these 3. He knew it was an industry, a deeply rooted system he couldn't change, but these three were new, their innocence not yet completely extinguished. Caleb studied him, his expression serious. He sighed, a strange softness in his voice. He now believed, he said, that Leo genuinely liked Omegas. He called the manager and paid for their freedom. The price was 10 million. One of the Omegas, hiding behind Leo, whispered that his own mother had sold him for 10,000. The manager stammered that these were premium, high-quality goods, their price inflated after being passed through several hands. Caleb didn't argue, he just swiped his card. Then he turned to Leo and asked what he planned to do with them. Leo's mind raced. He asked the system if there was a potion that could remove the brands. With the marks gone, they could live freely, like any other Omega in the capital. The system complained, saying it was a difficult request. Leo threatened to stop doing its tasks. Finally, the system relented, offering him a perverse series of trades for the potion. Holding Caleb's hand for 2 hours. A pure, platonic sleep in the same bed. A 15-minute kiss. Each task would earn him a vial. It was blackmail. He knew the system had ulterior motives for placing him here. This was just confirming it. He couldn't risk it. Caleb was already suspicious of him, but he had to save them. It was his mission. He told Caleb he would rent a house for them and find a way to remove the marks. Caleb looked skeptical. He recounted the story of another Omega who had infiltrated an Alpha Academy to learn potion making for the same reason. That Omega had failed, going into a public heat that ended with him in a mental institution. Leo was undeterred. Back in Caleb's car, he stewed over his dilemma. How could he, an Alpha, hold another Alpha's hand without raising suspicion? It would confirm every AA theory Caleb already had about him. But there was no other choice. This was a good icebreaker, he reasoned grimly. If he pretended to flirt, maybe a request to hold hands would seem plausible. He cleared his throat, the words feeling foreign and clumsy on his tongue as he turned to his roommate. He asked Caleb if he could hold his hand.